and Mr. Mark Bennett of Zambia. These were African pioneers that got us the internet. On their behalf, without much ado, Madame Udu Sote, Madame P.S., give a round of applause. She talks on behalf of them. Thank you so much, Madame P.S. Welcome. Our colleagues, if you can clean the microphone, please. Welcome.
Honorable ministers here present, distinguished guests, Your Excellencies, I count it great honor to be able to come here today talking about the diaspora. When African internet pioneers were working together, the emphasis was actually connecting Africa with the rest of the world. It seemed immaterial at that time, but we have seen how very important it is and how it has worked out. So talking about getting the African diaspora together to be able to bring resources from everywhere, we feel that our own contribution was going to be in the pushing up of technology and applying technology to be able to achieve the objective that we have. A lot more detail will come in our papers as we make presentations. But we are happy that Kenyan government has allowed this to take place, and with the representation that we have from government for this conference, it tells you how important the government has taken it to be. Dr. Shen was saying that internet came first and foremost to Kenya, and with this arrangement you are thinking that pushing the resources and investment would come through Kenya. I think that's just a dream. It's probably going to be through Nigeria. Welcome to the conference.
Give a round of applause, please. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Honorable Permanent Secretary. Previously, she was PS, Agriculture. I think she was captured by under President Obasanjo's leadership, spotted the talent. She has also served as PS, Agriculture and Energy as well. So we are delighted, Madam PS and Honorable Minister. On behalf of the Kenya Diaspora Alliance, Honorable CS, we know how passionate, and we consider you our part. I remember how we organized, it was probably 2007, he was part of what we were calling Diaspora Bunge, those who were campaigning to be MPs from the diaspora. He was in the US, he probably has forgotten a bit, but he's part of that community. So we're very delighted you could be with us. Honorable Okello, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, if there's anybody who's been passionate about engaging diaspora in the leadership, of course, Excellency the President being part of the diasporas, because our definition of diaspora includes returnees, and of course he was a US diaspora returnee. The Right Honorable has been very engaged with the diasporas, and we're glad you could be here. Without much ado, we wouldn't be here had it not been for Kenya Film Classification Board. The CEO always says, look, the diasporas are so important, even in difficult times. We wanted to demonstrate, Honorable CAS, representing Honorable CS, that Kenya is ready for business tourists, as you can see. We are being told this is probably the first global meeting that we are having post-COVID, or since COVID happened. We stand to be corrected, but it's probably one of the very first ones to invite business people into the country and into the continent. And sometimes it's said it's not the numbers. So usually we have all these 3 rooms full, Honorable CS, but on the advice of the health experts, and we're fully calling upon all the participants to comply with the regulations. But even in that gloom, for us, we just see opportunities that COVID bring about. And you'll be delighted, among many things that will be talked about during this meeting, is a COVID relief. Of course, there's no cure, there's no vaccine for COVID, but maybe some of these answers may come out of Kenya and out of Africa. And some of it we'll be hearing during this event, that remedies that have helped a number of Kenyans. But even despite that, some of us have written a paper, 5 ways to keep COVID at bay. So please, compliance. The 5th rule is compliance with the MOH, Ministry of Health regulations, and World Health Organization regulations. But above all else, as I finish, because it's not my day, part of the reason we are here is basically, Honorable Minister, to lay the ground for rallying Africa's diasporas together. They bring into the continent a whooping $80 billion every year, of which the majority, a large amount goes into Egypt, $30 billion every year. $25 billion goes into the Federal Republic of Nigeria. $9 billion goes into Morocco, and we will be addressed today by the leadership. Minister delegate to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Morocco, from Rabat, if the technology permits. And the ambassador of the Kingdom of Morocco will be with us tomorrow, if not later today. So $9 billion goes to Morocco, and $3 billion every year comes to Kenya. So obviously, that's more than what we get from 3 of our agricultural exports put together. So diaspora is a major anchor. But above all else, we are keen to tap into historical diasporas. The African American spending capacity is $1.2 trillion per year. We want to see a bit of that, Honorable Minister, come into Africa, maybe some through Kenya, others through Zambia, others through other African countries, Niger, and other countries. Without much ado, above all else, Honorable Minister, part of why we are here is to give young Kenyans and young Africans, both in the diaspora at home, hope. We believe there's every opportunity, and we'll be hearing a gallo from the people in the room. So without much ado, my duty is simply to introduce and invite the Chief Executive of Kenya Film Classification. Give him a round of applause as he comes. Again, I must reiterate, without him, probably we wouldn't be here today. Brother Ezekiel, please, the floor is yours. Another round of applause.
Thank you very much, Shane. Our chief guests, distinguished speakers, Your Excellencies, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Let me begin by thanking Shane and the team of the Kenyan Diaspora Alliance for a job well done, braving COVID and all the dangers and challenges, to say that life has to go on with caution, taking into account all the protocols, observing the measures that have been announced by the government to ensure that we are able to have this meeting. My name is Dr. Ezekiel Mutua. I'm the CEO of KFCB, as you've heard, Kenya Film Classification Board. And I'm here with a number of colleagues who are present here and others who are following online. As a matter of fact, our communications team is dedicated to promoting this event online. And so must be trading. The last time I checked, it was trading KFCB at Diaspora Alliance at #1, and it will be trading for the time that you're going to be here. The Kenya Film Classification Board is honored to participate in the inaugural African Diaspora Symposium under the aegis of the 7th Diaspora Homecoming Convention, themed leveraging diaspora resources for Africa's economic recovery post-COVID-19. This symposium has come at an appropriate time when the world is battling the novel COVID-19 pandemic that has shattered economies and led to the loss of livelihoods across the globe. Indeed, the conversations that will result from this symposium will aid in charting the way forward. Now that this has been sanitized, allow me to be a bit more comfortable. I hope I'll be safe. Leveraging the Diaspora Resources for African Economic Recovery post-COVID-19. This symposium has come at an appropriate time when the world is battling the coronavirus. And like Shema said, our participation as a board, as a Kenya Film Classification Board and agents in the government, is to say that we must have hope. The resilience of Africans is known. And as human beings, every time the world has been faced with a challenge, we have been able to find a way of, like the phoenix, coming back and finding our bearing. And so, as a board that leads or that is in charge of film and broadcast content regulation in the country, where we set the age appropriateness for the viewers of content, we are also involved greatly in redefining the role of film and media in pushing the African development narrative, because the media plays a very critical role. Our chief guest today and the honorable members who are here will attest to it that democratic space that we have today in this country and Africa could not have been possible without a free and independent media. Free and independent media is at the pillar, is a core pillar of democracy. And so as we regulate, we are aware about the need for balance between freedom and responsibility. But our chief guest, we are doing this symposium at a time when the internet that was brought to this country by Shem Ochodo and Madam PS and others who are here, and great contribution. And I think at some point, Shem, you must be honored, because I think we are celebrating 25 years of the internet in this country. And when you started the journey, thank you, Shem. I think let's clap for him. Shem, stand up. We want to honor you. I think we need to encourage the culture of giving people flowers while they live and when we can see them and celebrate them. When Shem started the journey of championing for the internet in Kenya, I was the Secretary General of the Kenya Union of Journalists. That time, vibrant journalist, vibrant champion of freedom of expression. There were no hot bad. I remember my inaugural speech when I was elected at the Stanley Hotel on 21st of June 2001 was to respond to a presidential speech, the president, a speech he had given on 1st of June during Madaraka Day. And it was to reiterate the role of the media in enhancing the conversations and opening up the democratic space. And I was saying there are things that you cannot resist, Your Excellency. And I was very happy that the president, after that speech, called me to State House and actually embraced that narrative and worked together until his final day in office. And so we have come a long way with Shem. And what I like about Shem is the balance that he has put in between championing for the open internet and the open space, but also recognizing that internet and the media is a double-edged sword. There is the dark side of the internet. We are living in the era of fake news. We are living at a time when moral decadence is ravaging our country. And yes, freedom is good, but freedom without responsibility is a recipe for chaos. And Africa cannot develop if we keep pushing the foreign ideologies and narratives that are not inched and rooted in our cultural dynamics. So that first and foremost we think we have. And then use the power of the media and the few to redefine our continent. And I think Nigeria has been defined with the global now is among the highest contributors to the GDP of Nigeria. I was privileged to be assistant at the Nairobi in October last year. And so as we sit here and as we start this symposium, I want to welcome our international guests to Kenya. I want to welcome the diaspora community and the president for far too long brothers and sisters. You have invested in brick and mortar, but a time has come for you to realize that with the internet and effort to build in Africa, we are now the world of global village. And rather than concentrate on the numbers, we have to continue to in our country as your market. Now we can push the content that we can stream on the internet, that we can sell online, and that can change the narrative about Africa. Our story has been told by other people for too long, from their lenses and from the way they see us. We have a chance now using the internet, the creativity of our youth, the innovativeness, the educated population in Africa, strong, very vibrant, to redefine the narrative. Thank you very much, and may God bless you.
Thank you so much. Another round of applause to Mr. CEO, please. Honorable CEO, yes, a little apology. I was to have invited my good brother engineer to share words so that we don't breach any protocol before we come to the high table. Can we give Konza City CEO a round of applause as the CEO comes and us? Please. Welcome.
Chief Guest Waziri and Your Excellencies, my colleague Mutua, it's a great pleasure to be here this morning and to interact with the diaspora and to discuss opportunities and to give assurance that the hope that my colleague Shema has mentioned is real, and good to meet people like Dr. Malcolm. Thank you, Malcolm. He's been our great partner also at Concert Technopolis. Briefly, Concert Technopolis project is on course. It's one of the key flagship projects under the Vision 2030 initiative of the country to transform our country. We have moved from the conceptualization stage. We have moved now to the actual implementation. We are implementing some of the great infrastructure projects, which is quite unique because it's been a rare moment that we have a city being built from the scratch. We are building a new city from a greenfield. And currently the horizontal infrastructure is progressing. We are approaching now the 40% mark. And this includes some of the most unique projects like the wastewater treatment plant. A friend from Nigeria, PS, said she has interest in water issues, and we are doing a reclamation facility which reclaims over 95% of the wastewater for reuse within the city. We are also building one of the first solid waste facilities which uses the separation of waste at the source and using a vacuum system to collect at one central location for further processing. We are also privileged that now at Concert Technopolis we are hosting the National Data Center, which is able now to be the digital platform for the country and also for innovation and for our universities to research and innovate more. We are also privileged that we are now a special economic zone, and we are working with the other agencies and other special economic zones in this country to attract more FDI to our country and to provide safe location for investment for the diaspora. We are working with Dr. Shem Ojwato and the other destinations to ensure the investment location we are putting up are safe, secure, and guarantees returns to the diaspora community. It's good to see that within the diaspora, there is over 250,000 members of diaspora. And our interaction with Dr. Shem and the other diaspora is they are looking for a safe location of return. Concert Technopolis provides that opportunity. And we are going beyond looking at only your funding. Mutua has talked about the soft side. And I think it's a great opportunity to create opportunities for investment on the soft side. We are looking at the expertise from our diaspora to locate here in Kenya. We are setting up a research institute jointly with the Ministry of Education and expected to be operational towards end of 2022-2023, which will be Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. We have finished the process of design. We have onboarded a contractor, and we're expecting the construction to begin at the beginning of next year. This will play a very critical role for the old Silicon Savannah, because this will be the equivalent of the Stanford to the Silicon Valley. So Kenya KAIST will play a critical role on the soft side of Kenya. We are also working to advance the film industry, and I was discussing with Ezekiel also the Kenya Digital Media City, which is a project within the Concert Technopolis project to focus on the film digital and some ICT components, because it's a great upcoming area. So we have Abadan investment opportunities within Concert Technopolis. We have a booth in which we can share. You can visit us. We'll also be sharing later in detail about the opportunities for investment at Concert Technopolis. With those few remarks, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. CEO. I've been instructed by my senior director in the OP, Brother Mungari. The last time, Honorable Minister decided to appoint me, Willem Zemoi used to say, when you govern our diaspora, he's instructed me I have to invite Deputy High Commissioner, representing the High Commissioner of Zambia. Please just share brief words before we go back to the high table. Give a round of applause to High Commissioner.
Thank you, Your Excellency, the CS, the CEO, and the representative from the Office of the Right Honorable, and our guest from Nigeria. As Zambia, we were tasked by the organizers that we deal with the Zambian experience engaging and mainstreaming Africa diaspora and the role of the AU ECOSOC in Lusaka. On behalf of my High Commissioner, I wish to read the statement on our behalf. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, I'm delighted to be here today to share with you the pronounced efforts that the Zambian government has made towards the implementation of our national diaspora agenda. The government of the Republic of Zambia drew its inspiration to formulate the national diaspora policy from regional and continental efforts, which culminated in the first ever African Union Global Diaspora Summit held in Johannesburg, South Africa in 2012. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, the summit mandated all African Union member states to take necessary measures to formulate their respective diaspora policies with the overall objective of harnessing skills and energies within the continent and abroad for the socio-economic development of the African continent. You may recall that in 2013, the African Union recognized the African diaspora as the sixth region of the continent. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, in 2014, the government of the Republic of Zambia conducted the diaspora study tour in countries with the largest diaspora to learn the best practices with regards to their diaspora investments in the development agenda of their respective countries. I'm proud to mention that the Republic of Kenya was among the countries that were selected during these study tours. Furthermore, in 2015, the government of the Republic of Zambia enhanced its efforts in the formulation of a national diaspora policy and held the National Consultative Forum called Indaba, to where as a resource person from the Kenyan Foreign Affairs Ministry was invited. Thereafter, government, through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, worked tirelessly to ensure the development of all-inclusive policy that will be beneficial for all the Zambian citizens living abroad. Your Excellency, I wish to inform you that most of the recommendations from the various stakeholders during the consultative forum were indeed incorporated into the National Diaspora Policy, which was launched on the 2019 by Her Honor Mrs. Inonge Wina, Vice President of the Republic of Zambia. The policy provides a framework for effective mobilization and engagement of the Zambia diaspora. The policy outlines 13 specific objectives However, my government has prioritized 6 objectives, namely, facilitate the effective administration of the diaspora, 2, access to the national document, 3, dual citizenship, 4, establish a comprehensive information online portal and diaspora database, 5, knowledge and skills transfer, and 6, promoting, facilitating, and leveraging of remittances. Further, the government of the Republic of Zambia has taken steps towards ensuring the achievement of these objectives by partnering with the International Organization for Migration, who have been providing technical and financial support since the inception of the diaspora policy. In meeting the expectation of the Zambian diaspora, the government of the Republic of Zambia, with the support of the International Organization for Migration, launched a dedicated diaspora desk in 2 ministries, that is namely Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Home Affairs, in December 2019. In order to effectively and efficiently fulfill these objectives of the diaspora policy, government ministries and Zambian missions abroad identified diaspora focal point person in order to aid the implementation of the diaspora policy. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, allow me at this point to also share a little about Zambia's role in the Economic, Social and Cultural Council, ECOSOC. ECOSOC, as you may know, is not only an advisory organ of the African Union, but has a memo task of diffusing the role of civil society in the developmental process in Africa. It is also responsible for ensuring the active participation of the civil society in the integration and development agenda of the continent. It is therefore a great honor for Zambia to host this key organ of the Union in Lusaka. I am further pleased to inform that the AU ECOSOC Zambia chapter was officially launched in November 2018. To encourage engagement with the chapter, a tripartite committee was established between ECOSOC Zambia, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and Ministry of National Development Planning. The mission of the committee is to institute a common platform through which government and ECOSOC will specifically implement Africa Union program and mainstreaming some of the key continental activities into overall national planning and implementation of the 7th National Development Plan and Vision 2030. Your Excellencies and distinguished guests, Zambia was further proud to host the 3rd General Assembly of the Economic, Social and Cultural Council of the African Union, which was held on the 11th of June 2019 in Lusaka, whose purpose was to, among others, orient the newly elected members of the Bureau who would be overseeing activities under ECOSOC. The Zambian government welcomed the establishment and commencement of the operations of the interim ECOSOC Secretariat in Lusaka in November 2019. It is hoped that the full structure of the Secretariat will begin operating in Lusaka during the course of 2021. The Patriotic Front government, under the able leadership of His Excellency President Edgar Chakwa, continues to show commitment to continue providing an enabling environment conducive for the smooth functioning of the critical AU institute such as ECOSOC. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, in conclusion, I look forward to working closely with the government of Kenya as I have begun my tour of duty as High Commissioner of the Republic of Zambia to the Republic of Kenya. Zambia has now the opportunity to learn from Kenya and apply best practices in order to further boost the participation of the Zambian diaspora in the development agenda of Zambia. May God bless you all.
Thank you so much, Excellency High Commissioner. Another round of applause, please. With the permission of Honorable CAS, we have other major partners without whom we would not have been here. We'll just acknowledge them. Chatu City, Mr. Preston, I think he's seated somewhere at the back. He's in the room. Preston, give him a round of applause. Thank you so much. Unity Homes, they're one of our good partners with the U.S. Agencies. For the first time, Honorable CS, we seem to have gotten attention of the U.S. government. They'll be participating and they are following. Prosper Africa is participating in a major way, and Corporate America, and we are not taking it for granted. And we also have partners from Europe and other parts of the world participating. Without much ado, I do know as we are waiting for our chief guest should be joining shortly. But I wanted also to acknowledge our other exhibitors, which we can't count. Next door we have some exhibitions. And also the committee members, if you are a member of the committee, just stand up, the planning committee, just stand up and we wave. We give them a round of applause. Beja, just stand up. Thank you so much. Honorable Minister, without them, it wouldn't have been possible to make this happen. At this point, I want to hand over to Bana CEO. I do know we are trying to compare notes also with the chief guest. Give him another round of applause. The good thing is he is very compliant. Please.
Thank you. Thank you, Shem. Ladies and gentlemen, as you all know, the former Prime Minister, Right Honorable Raila Odinga, was to be with us today. The Honorable Prime Minister, or Right Honorable Prime Minister, who is also the African Union High Representative for Infrastructure Development in Africa, sent a very able representative in the name of Honorable Gerard Okello. And when the Honorable Prime Minister delegates, you are sure that he has delegated to a friend, he has delegated to competence, he has delegated to eloquence, he has dedicated to his largeness of spirit and donated all those accolades that go with the hero that Honorable Raila Odinga is, not just here in Kenya, but in Africa. And this being an African Diaspora Symposium, there would have never been a better guest than the African Union High Representative for Infrastructure and Development for Africa. And therefore it is my great honor and privilege to invite the representative of the Right Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Gerard Okello, to come and give his remarks. Let's appreciate him in the manner we would have received the Honorable Prime Minister. Welcome.
Thank you, Nyambani.
What an introduction. Recently in this country, an infamous song that has gained a lot of currency and traction, sung by one Lucky Dube, that nobody can stop reggae. See, this country, that has become a clarion call. And this conference, with its success, is a testament that no one can stop diasporan reggae. Now, the beauty of reading a speech is that you don't add your own stuff. So I will keep to the script from the beginning to the end. But my name, as has been ably introduced by the CEO, KFCB, my friend Mutua, is Gerard Okello. I represent a rural constituency in the western part of Kenya. Coincidentally, my constituency and that of my very good friend, Honorable Ababu Namwamba, who is our chief guest today, share a lot of similarities, from the flooding menace to the wonderful fish as a delicacy that we enjoy. Yesterday I received a call from the Prime Minister to come and stand in for him and read this speech. Why he called, I don't know. And these are the remarks of His Excellency Raila Odinga, KDHC-2020 at the first African Diaspora Symposium, come 7th Annual Kenya Diaspora Homecoming Convention, Nairobi, Kenya, held December 8th to the 10th, 2020. Let me begin by thanking the organizers for convening this long overdue gathering and for choosing Nairobi as your venue. I wish to express my deep appreciation of the determination of Africa's diaspora to stay engaged and involved with the affairs of our individual countries and our continent as a whole. We hear you and we feel you whenever Mother Africa is in distress, and we deeply appreciate it. Personally, I treasure our diaspora as partners in our development as a country and as a continent. That is why, as Prime Minister, I had a full-fledged diaspora office within my office, and I made several visits abroad. My office hosted the first ever Diaspora Homecoming Conference in December 2011 at AICC Nairobi. My office, working closely with our members of parliament, including Honorable Dr. Shemu Chuodo, who is presently here with us, and Honorable Shidie, successfully pushed for dual citizenship and voting rights bill that was promulgated in the 2010 Constitution. Ladies and gentlemen, we are all aware of the damage the current pandemic is doing to our economies. It has forced us to scale down or abandon the many ambitious plans we had for our people as a continent or individual countries. To gain lost ground, the years ahead are going to require that Africa prioritizes a solid and functional infrastructure connectivity as a critical catalyst for our social and economic recovery. I'm therefore glad to speak to you on harnessing diaspora resources for development and management of regional infrastructures. In China, they have a saying that if you want to get rich, you must first build roads. This approach was a pillar of Chinese economic advancement during the past 4 decades. History also tells us that when the US unveiled the interstate highways at the end of the First World War, navigation of the vast continent became easier. The once daunting rugged terrain got ironed out, cities emerged, shopping malls sprouted, restaurants evolved to serve a continent of drivers. The highways turbocharged the economy. Transnational highways and railways worked wonders for the US and Europe in the 19th century and are today working wonders in Asia. It is Africa's turn to embrace the regional and continent-wide infrastructure challenge. I strongly believe that the existence of a reliable infrastructure of roads and railways running north to south, east to west of Africa is critical to opening up the continent to trade with itself. It is a critical factor of production for a continent of 54 countries, 16 of them landlocked. Over the decades, lack of infrastructure has constrained the movement of goods, services, and people in Africa. Today, it is estimated that the cost of transport in Africa is on average 50 to 175% higher than in other parts of the world. This is a wake-up call. For continental trade to take off, we need better cross-border land transport to provide links between inland centers and the ocean ports, and to service cross-border trade among countries and regions located far from the ocean ports. Africa needs long-distance road and rail services and efficient air transportation. The infrastructure programs that will turn around Africa's fortunes are currently well mapped out. The African Union Commission and NEPAD have meticulously mapped out the Trans-Africa highways, the missing links, the high-speed rail, the air transport and energy needs, and the implementation status. From that work, we know what needs to be done. We know a new frontier transcontinental corridor connecting the eastern and western Central Africa and the deep-sea ports of Lamu and Douala in Cameroon, and a continental high-speed freight railway. We need to complete the Trans-Sahara Highway, the Dakar-Jamena-Djibouti Road and Rail, the Kinshasa-Brazzaville Bridge, the North-South Corridor involving South Africa, Zimbabwe, DRC, Namibia, Botswana, Angola, and Lesotho.
We need to complete the international logistics infrastructure hub involving Namibia, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Malawi, DRC, and Botswana. And we need to complete the Lagos-Abidjan-Dakar highway. You must have heard of the Trans-African Highway, a network of 9 highways which, when connected, will cover a combined total of 60,000 kilometers across our continent. In Chad, we have to introduce robust maritime services linking Eastern Africa to the north via Lake Victoria through River Nile to the Mediterranean Sea. And we need to develop the full potential of the Inga Dam in the DRC to enable it power all of Africa, just to mention but a few. Distinguished guests, for all this, we need lots of money and local and global political goodwill. The Program for Infrastructure Development in Africa, PIDA, estimates that Africa requires over $360 billion up to the year 2040 to finance its critical infrastructure projects. In the meantime, we have an annual infrastructure financing gap of between 60 to 90 billion US dollars. Currently, very few African governments have sufficient finances to fund infrastructure investment themselves. We have to devise effective and efficient plans to mobilize the requisite resources to fund the identified projects. Majority of our nations are forced to rely on either loans from wealthy countries or on private companies willing to take the risk. There are real concerns whether our countries can repay the loans they are taking. Africa's diaspora with wealth of expertise and experience gained in various parts of the world have a responsibility to contribute ideas, build partnerships, and strengthen cooperation in infrastructure development in Africa. We are keen on your ideas, experience, and expertise on ways to raise monies on friendly terms and to ensure the infrastructure we get is in line with our local needs. We are also keen to learn from you on possibilities of developing infrastructure other than by dependence on loans. These include possibilities for build, operate, and transfer mechanisms, among others which other parts of the world are currently exploring. It is my view that the infrastructure development for the years ahead requires we act not as individual nations, but as the continent of Africa. That is why, as the High Representative for Infrastructure Development of the African Union, my office is currently pushing for the creation of an Africa Continental Infrastructure Fund under the auspices of the AU to pool resources for our infrastructure needs. I believe such a body would be symbolically and strategically valuable. I believe the time has come for Africa to pursue a funding model that focuses on a combination of domestic sources and private sector finances, as is the case in Europe and Asia, among other parts of the globe. The facility would be able to lobby financiers to translate the investment-ready projects into reality. Such a facility would be a perfect platform for our diaspora to tap in, either as investors or experts in various aspects of infrastructure development, and make a big and lasting contribution to Mother Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, more important than your ideas and investment, we need your push for our individual countries to agree that regional infrastructure is the way to the future. We also need your push for the continent's political leadership to understand that infrastructure development in general and continental infrastructure in particular is a journey of faith, patience, and hope that can easily be dismissed as too costly or as paths and lines to nowhere, only for rewards to come long afterwards. The case was with the construction of the Kenya-Uganda Railway, which started in December 1985 and was completed in December 1901. In the House of Commons in the United Kingdom, one member who opposed the construction of the railway line described it as the lunatic express.
in these immortal lines, and this is what he said, and I put in quotes. What it will cost, no words can express. What is its object, no brain can suppose. Where it will start from, no one can guess. Where it is going to, nobody knows. What is the use of it, none can conjecture. What it will carry, none can define. And in spite of George Curzon's superior lecture, it clearly is not but a lunatic line. These words notwithstanding, the Kenya-Uganda Railway was a major success that created towns including Nairobi, where we are today, and opened the interior of this region. I admire the vision and courage of the leaders who went ahead and completed the project despite the widespread skepticism. It is now the turn of our generation to gather courage and put our energy and money in opening Africa through continental infrastructure. I remain committed to working with you on this. Thank you, and may God bless Africa. Asanteni sana. Water. I think as we wait for the next two speakers, who are our final speakers, and I will be introducing them with all their accolades and long CVs, and their love and commitment to supporting the diaspora. Let us appreciate Honorable Gerard Okello for that great speech on behalf of the former Prime Minister. I told you that that's a speech that we need to keep, and I hope it can be streaming online as well. It's already that speech. Very good. Wonderful, wonderful. Because it will be very encouraging for the Honorable Prime Minister, wherever he is, to see that the message about African infrastructure, infrastructural development has been delivered, and so eloquently so. Sir, we thank you. You are a noble representative. Then, before the other guests come in, this man who is standing next to me, who is also our ambassador, or the brand ambassador for Kenya Film Classification Board, Walter Mongare has a history with some of the discussions that we're having today. Walter and two other gentlemen, namely John Kiarie, now known as Honorable KG, the MP for Dagoretti South, and Tony Njuguna, and now later, of course, joined by Churchill, who now runs one of the longest and biggest TV shows in Africa, Churchill Show, started a movement from Kenyatta University, where I did my first degree, through the theater group in Kenyatta University in the 90s, early 90s. I was there, but I left Water still, and the KJ and others. And they started a program that appeared on TV when now TV was liberalized in this country. And they got us airspace on NTV, and they were bringing a program called The Ridiculous. Ridiculous used to mimic the former president. Former President Moi, when ruled for 24 years, was bigger than life. And you never dared to mimic or ridicule or in any way satirize the former president. It was unheard of. The president was not even the problem. You would be sorted by other people before you even know what is going on. That was the era when internet, and the former president Moi was on record saying, this thing would destroy Africa, African continent, and the black men. I can't do it like Water would do it. But he spoke about how internet would destroy the black men. I don't know how many of you were old enough to resonate with this story. But what Water, Honorable KJ, and Tony Njuguna started has now become a movement that is creating and generating income for our youth across the country. The creative economy sector has become a movement that you can't stop. Yesterday, and my colleagues were with me, and I hope this will be taken well, the young people have taken over this country. They need direction, otherwise they're in charge, but they're in the charge, some of them in the wrong way. They are using the music, they are using films, they are using drama, and they are driving narratives, subterranean agendas, that if we don't help them and create a conversation, guys, we are in danger. There will be no country. So I long to see the days when people like Water will take up the courage to help society to shape their values in a positive way, because they came at the right time, just towards the end of Kanu rule, to redefine how film and how drama can change the perceptions of people. And it was so powerful that even when they have left the stage, that movement is still going on. It's going on in the ghettos, it's going on in the villages, it's going on everywhere across the country. And this is what we want to appeal to the diaspora community to invest in. If you really love your country, reach out to your young people who are talented in music, in film, in spoken word, who are doing great things in the village, in the churches, and do what Nigeria did. I'm told Nollywood started and got fueled or supported by the church. The guys who are just reading bulletin in church, who are reading, who are doing skits in church, but pastors and bishops who saw that talent, if you listen to most of the Niger movies, they end with "to God be the glory," even when there was fire and lightning and witchcraft. And the reason is because they have not denounced their culture and their values and where they started. They started by honoring God. And I wanted us to get back to the roots where we all began. When Water Mongare started this thing, and welcome, Your Excellency, our chief guest. Let's welcome the Honorable Eugene Wamalwa, the Cabinet Secretary for Devolution. Devolution is the movement now, is the new, is our new development narrative in Kenya, and we are happy to have the Honorable Eugene Wamalwa. Welcome, sir. Welcome, sir. So as a break, as we now, our chief guest sits down, I wanted to invite Water Mongare, but now as former President Moi. He's now coming, and we are going to pay him because he's on my payroll and he's a government officer. So Charity, please sort out the memo for Honorable, for Water Mongare, because Water Mongare is under instructions to perform the role of former President Moi, and invite and receive all the guests who are here, acknowledge this meeting and tell us about the theme and celebrating Internet 25 years and why you are rejecting this great thing that is now making the world a global village, because Moi said this Internet will destroy the African man. There's a sense in which that is true to date, but there is also a sense in which we have also come a long way and we have come of age. Ladies and gentlemen, the former President of the Republic of Kenya, Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi. Wapi hawa watu wa kukocholea hizi vitu? Kukochoa hapo. Mucha kukocholea hapa. Hapa juu. Hata hamuna kazi, toka hapa. Sit down, or you are seated. Moi was not wearing this. I'm old now. Speech by His Excellency President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi on the first ever African that one. Members of the diplomatic war from Zambia, and then the one from America. Did you vote for Biden, or you are a Trump supporter? Trump is doing what? When Moi, let me get this speech, I can't read. Let me talk as an African leader. when I see what is going on in America, Trump saying, oh, I have been stolen. Who's there to steal from Trump? Trump is stealing for himself. Now, but because hiyo haikuwa siasa wa leo, na mimi ninapenda maendeleo, kutoka leo naona mnafanya VVI, enda ambia Raila hata asishughulike sana, kesho aingie kwa ofisi, is now officially the Prime Minister. And that is how we appoint people in Africa. And from today, Ezekiel, you now become the governor of Machakos from tomorrow. When Shebo to stand up, there is no governor in Nairobi, go there. May God bless you, go to bless Africa. You know, guys, even with COVID, the thing that can keep us alive, you know, the creative arts, the joy music brings. I was telling you, the young people, and I've told you how powerful they are. Yesterday they got the president to sing a new song. I thought that is what I wanted to do, and I was going to stop him. The new song by Kofi Olomide and Diamond Platinum called Wa. So the young people are being asked, so form ni gani? Wanasema form ni Wa. And I think when they got the president to sing the song, he didn't know, but the wave and the power of the young people when they get to the heat of the moment is unstoppable. And so as we discuss the future, let us know that the future is different. Vitu kwa ground, you know, that's what they say. They say vitu kwa ground ni tofauti. And what they mean is that the conversations that are going on with the people, the real people, the ghetto, is detached from what we are hearing. And I'm very happy that our chief guest, the cabinet secretary for devolution is here, because those conversations must go to the grassroots. And we must find, thank you, we must find ways and means of tapping into these talents. We have talented youth. And now with technology, with the platforms like Viusasa, you don't even have to have TV stations in the traditional sense for our young people to make money. One of the reasons why this Gengeton movement is becoming so strong is because they feel neglected and they feel we are not understanding their stories. And so the conversation, Honorable Minister, will be, how can we turn this energy of our youth, their creativity, their energy and their resolve and their intellect into something positive by creating platforms where they can make money and become like Walter Mungare. But as I sit down, let me say this, that young people, you also need to know that art is a powerful tool, but it's also a double-edged sword. It can build, it can destroy. You can use it for good, you can use it for bad. You can emulate these pioneers. The reason why I'm mentioning Walter Mungare is a senior person in the office of the president. KJ is an honorable member of parliament for Dagoret South. Tony is doing his own thing. Churchill is a millionaire. This revolution of Gengeton and the deviance and the push towards sexualizing everything content, you must know that the content that will sell is content that we can consume as a family, that we can enjoy even in meetings like this, the way Water is doing. You will never get to work in the office of the president if your narrative and your content is the one of insults and obscenity and vulgarity. There is no way you'll get that opportunity. And so there must be a balance where the creativity must be channeled into a way that we speak about our culture, our values, and that all of us can protect children from exposure to harmful content. I think that's a powerful message that I wanted to give, and invite Walter again. It seems like he wants to read something before now we go to the high table and conclude the program.
Thank you.
Ezekiel. Now that you mentioned that I work in the office of the president, protocol is critical, and it's important for people to know that the African continent is made of the young people. By demonstration, how many people in this room are below 35? Please put your hand up. Below 35. Chief guest, please put them up properly. The median age for this country as Kenya is 20.1, which means Kenya is 20 years old. The continent of Africa is 25 years old. And so as I serve as the Director of Young People and the Director of Youth in the Office of the President, everything that we are talking about today, if we are not speaking to them, if we are not preparing for them, then this conversation, we are just having it to ourselves. Am I speaking to the young people? Am I speaking for the young people? So later on in the conversation and in the symposium and in the convention, there will be a discussion about mind shift and mindset on governance and leadership. If we are going to continue to have the young people as participants on the table, where we are just putting them as flowers, where we think the young people can just, show up and just be seen, where their thoughts, their words are not influencing the decisions that we are making as government, I think we are setting ourselves to fail. So as I represent the thoughts and aspirations of millions of young people around Kenya and around Africa, it's our hope and desire that our chief guest, Eugene Wamalwa, who is a pioneer, and for those of you who don't know, what you call access to government procurement opportunities for the young people, a rule in Kenya that every 30% of the total procurement budget goes to companies owned, operated, and run by young people. That brainchild is our chief guest today. If there's any other person, and I think for me, Dr. Ochodo, I'm proud that even the CAS, Abab Namwamba, is in record to be one of the youngest champions of the youth agenda, not just in Kenya, but Africa. So those young people are here, and those who are making sure that we are on online, the platforms, the internet that we are talking about, this country and this continent, it's a moment that you must continue to talk about. This is your turn, this is your time, and this is about your future. So don't take this conversation to be just another conversation, but take it to the next level that we need to. Now that was a serious part of me, just doing my job so I can earn my salary. When are we being paid, by the way, Ezekiel? Ezekiel, when do we get the December salary? I think I've already done my job. Charity? Yeah. Niko poa. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please share the portal. It's Diaspora Convention. It's online. Share it with wherever anyone who's out there, because this session is live and we need to take this conversation from Ole Sereni, from Nairobi, Kenya, to the rest of the world. Now, may I ask Dr. Shemo Chodo to come and just briefly rewind a bit and share more thoughts before we invite our CAS to make a few remarks. Sanitizer.
Thank you very much, our chief guest. I must profusely apologize that we had to ambush. We've always ambushed him, but he's always a very good friend. And by collective responsibility, Honorable C.S. Foreign, our brother, C.S. Devolution, sometimes, whenever he hears diaspora matters, even when he has to travel all the way from the village in Go, he's with us here. Give him a round of applause. Now, I'm already apologizing so that I'm not in trouble. So my sincere apology. Allow me also to apologize for Honorable Minister Delegate, the Kingdom of Morocco. I know technically we have to connect with her from Rabat. We'll figure out when that can be done. We are closely collaborating with Excellency Ambassador Dr. Mokhtar to see how that can be done. I'll also apologize for Mzee Dr. Manu Chandaria, our first diaspora ambassador. Give Dr. Chandaria a round of applause. at 92 years, he's always been with us here. He would have been here. But of course, because of the protocols and the other rituals, we will find out during the next 2 days how we deal with them. So we apologize for that. Last but not least, I apologize also for Excellency Professor Kibwana Makweni, Governor, who was also to share brief thoughts online. Give also Professor a round of applause, please. Thank you. At that point, without much ado, last but not least, I must apologize for my boss and former colleague, Diaspora Bunge, Honorable Ababu Namwamba, but his shoes are big. Dr. Ezekiel, should I invite him or I leave him to you to invite? Bwana CS, we really apologize. You know, when Foreign Affairs is here, Diaspora is at home. Give him a round of applause as he comes. Thank you so much. And we apologize. He's been very patient with us. My sincere apology, please. Welcome, my brother. Thank you.
Now, one of Africa's finest sons, the late Professor Chinua Achebe, arrives and says the following in one of his literary masterpieces, Things Fall Apart. I quote him: "A man who calls his kinsmen to a feast does not do so to save them from starving. They all have food in their own homes. When we gather together in the moonlit village ground, it's not because of the moon. Every man can sit in his own compound. We come together because it is good for kinsmen to do so." And it is on the back of those eternal words of this fine son of our continent that I want to start by really appreciating my good brother and friend and comrade of many years in many spheres, Dr. Shemo Chioro, for gathering us as kin, because we meet here because of kinship. The only cord that joins us here together, the African kinship, the diaspora spirit. We gather here not just to share a meal, but we gather here because it's good for kinsmen to come together. And let me appreciate my brother and colleague, Honorable Eugene Wamalwa. I am quite impressed, Shem, that somehow you find a way of getting. I know how crazy his office is, because when you talk devolution, you're really talking the heart of governance. So let me join you by appreciating to see my brother here joining us on this very important occasion. I also want to appreciate your sponsors of this symposium, the Kenya Film Classification Board, the KDHC-2020, but not just at an institutional level, but at the individual level of the CEO, my good friend and brother, Dr. Ezekiel Ntua, a man who says what he means, and he means exactly what he says. And indeed, without a doubt, in an era where morality is becoming increasingly unfashionable, he has stuck to the fashion of morality, and he deserves the accolade of the moral compass of our time today. Daktari, asante sana. Asante for your stand and asante for the support to make this symposium possible today. Allow me also at this very preliminary level to appreciate what we are now referring to as the historical diaspora. I was absolutely blown away by Dr. Malcolm coming here and hearing that he just flew in from Washington, D.C. last night. And with the challenges we are having in the aviation industry because of these COVID-19 issues, that must have been quite a mighty effort for you to get here. So Dr. Malcolm, together with all of our historical diaspora from wherever you have come, I want to take this opportunity on behalf of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, on behalf of the Government of the Republic of Kenya to say, welcome to Nairobi, welcome to Africa. Karibu Kenya, the land of Hakuna Matata. This is that land. I also want to appreciate our friends, our kin who have come from across the continent, led by the very eminent, distinguished Madame Idukun Odusote, former PS Environment, and without a doubt I have listened to her, expert on energy, pioneer in taking Africa to the digital space. For you and the whole team that have come from across the length and breadth of our continent, I say thank you and most welcome. Now, I am here in my own behalf as a person who truly does appreciate the spirit of diaspora. Talking about kinship, I have felt the diasporian kinship in real terms. Years back when I landed in Washington, D.C. as a postgraduate student, I experienced and lived that kinship in very real terms. And I was welcomed, embraced by a vibrant African diaspora, including by my brother John Minor here, who would parachute me to Baltimore every weekend. You don't want to know where he'd take me in Baltimore. It's an interesting place. But I felt this spirit of kinship, the kinship that I shared in the words of Chinua Achebe, the importance of kin to be together, to work together, to work together, to dream together, to achieve prosperity together, is something I felt in those days I spent in the U.S. And even after that, I have experienced the value of keeping those networks, keeping that kinship alive. And so I'm always available on any matter diaspora. Last year I was in New Jersey City for the Diaspora Convention of our diaspora across the United States. This year we are here in Nairobi, and therefore the time shown together with the organizers of this symposium. I want you to know that mimi hapa si mgeni, niko nyumbani kabisa. But I also stand here to represent the Cabinet Secretary for Foreign Affairs, my sister, my colleague, Ambassador Rachel Mamo, who the time you had invited to come here and to speak to you. But because of so many things going on, including an important function we have tomorrow with the Ethiopian Prime Minister up in the north, she couldn't be here. But she assures you and the entire diaspora community of her personal support. She is a diasporan herself. So she's a member of your community, she's your constituent in that respect. She assures you of her personal support and assures you the full support of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And so, I am very pleased really to be here to witness what I can call a homecoming, because this is what it is. This is a homecoming that is dedicated to the African diaspora in general, because this is the first Africa Diaspora Symposium. But it is also coinciding and celebrating the 7th annual Kenya Diaspora Homecoming Convention, the 7th time we are doing this show. And as we celebrate this homecoming, it is important to encourage this to happen frequently. It's important for us to want to see this kinship, the gathering of kings, more often. Because every time we come together, like we have come, it's an opportunity to share experiences, to share our knowledge, the challenges from our various countries of domicile today. I have a brother here from Finland, who's bringing all the experiences from the Nordic corner of Europe. We can share experiences from that corner of the globe, share experiences from the US and across the rest of the world. But it's also an opportunity for you to engage with the local communities, to touch base with local issues, to feel that the issues you talk about when you're diaspora, they have roots, and they are rooted right here, locally. We can also talk about how do you deploy the diaspora resources to bear on local development. And when we talk about thinking global and acting local, no one perhaps would appreciate that better than the diaspora person, who has this global view, but we invite you to bring that to bear on local development. I had a written speech to come and share with you here, but I'm not going to read this speech. I just want to talk to you. And I want to talk about just a couple of things, 2 things. Number one is the diaspora having a story and telling that story. Because now I speak from the perspective of the foreign ministry or the foreign office. You as diaspora are the first line of the ambassadors we have to the world. Your conduct, your demeanor, your action speak volumes wherever you live. And I can assure you, if you behave in a particular manner, if you land in Kuala Lumpur today and you tell the taxi or the cabbie, I am a Kenyan, they will immediately say, do you run? Actually, they might. In Kuala Lumpur, which is halfway across the globe the other side. Why? Because athletics, somehow, because of the world-beating prowess of the Kenyan athlete, has somehow come to be one of the defining characteristics of a Kenyan, so who a Kenyan is, or what a Kenyan is. So the way you behave, the way you conduct yourself, whatever you achieve out there, contributes to branding this country you call your home or the country of origin. You are an ambassador. And to go back to Chinua Achebe famously also says, however great a storyteller you may be, you cannot tell a story you do not know. You may be the best storyteller the world has ever seen, but you must know the story to tell that story. And I want to ask the diaspora, I want to challenge you to tell the African story. But for you to be able to tell this story, I want to challenge you to know this story. Because you cannot tell a story that you know not or you know little of. Let us know the African story. You who live out there know that the most distorted continent in terms of information, in terms of characterization, in terms of definition is the African continent. Information is deliberately distorted. Misinformation is rife. Everything is twisted out of context. I challenge you, be that ambassador who knows the African story and does not shy away from telling that story. Tell that story. Today Africa is replete with success stories that no one bothers to tell. Last year, I am seated in Brussels in the European Union Africa Partnership Conference. And on the sidelines of that conference, I got an opportunity to have a bilateral meeting with Madam Harriet Baldwin, Minister for International Development of the UK. And the first thing Madam Minister asks me, Excellency, what is your president doing in Kinshasa? Why is your president in Kinshasa? And my president was actually in Kinshasa. What was my president doing in Kinshasa indeed? My president had traveled to Kinshasa to witness what personally I consider to be an African miracle. The first democratic, peaceful transfer of power from one Congolese president to another. The first democratic, peaceful, democratic, peaceful transfer power happening in what was famously called the jungle, at the heart of the African jungle in Kinshasa, as President Joseph Kabila handed power to President Felix Tshisekedi. And so this minister is telling me, but you know, this election has had issues. There's still issues in the air. So why is your president associating yourself with a process that still has... So I listen to her and I tell her, Madam, are you finished? And I tell her, number one, my president is in Kinshasa to witness an African miracle. An African miracle of breaking free from a history created by forces that had nothing to do with Africa, that were nothing African. So first of all, Africa is sorting out a problem created, I just stopped short of saying, created by, you know, yeah. Secondly, Africa, my president is basically demonstrating to the world the mantra of African solutions to African problems in real terms. And finally, my president is providing leadership. Leadership, that is what my president is doing. And I'm very proud that my president is in Kinshasa. In fact, Madam Minister, if I were not here, I would have proudly accompanied my president to Kinshasa to witness this African miracle. And I spent time to explain why this transition in Kinshasa was important for the Democratic Republic of Congo, but also for African democracy. And which election does not bear challenges? The last big one we just witnessed is still wriggling in the midst of challenges to date. I don't know, Dr. Malcolm, whether you have had a concession yet. Yeah, anyway. The point I'm saying is that a story such as this story out of the Congo is a story to be told. I'm not telling you to say that the Democratic Republic of Congo does not have challenges, because it does have challenges. But I'm saying, as an African, being bold enough to count the blessings that come by in this continent, because no one else will. No one else will if you don't. No one else will. We have worked the peace process in South Sudan. We have worked the peace process in the Sudan. We have worked the process in Burundi. We have witnessed the regeneration of institutions of state in Somalia. Who is telling these stories to the world? Because the only time you will hear the world report about the Congo is not about the story I've just told you. Now they are waiting for something to break in Kinshasa, and then it will become headline news, and everybody will sing about it. My first challenge to you, Daktari, together with the rest of the diaspora, let us tell the African story. But let us take time to know that story. My second and final point is that we must, as the diaspora, make a deliberate decision and effort to invest in this continent. You know, you cannot define your belief in this continent if you do not invest in this continent. The best demonstration of faith is to literally put your money where your mouth is. Because where the rubber meets the road is bringing that dollar, bringing that pound, bringing that euro, bringing that yen to bear on local transformation. So when I hear my brother talk about the Konza Technopolis, that's what you call it? Technopolis. Yes, the Konza Technopolis is an amazing concept. But it's a concept that needs people who can believe in it, people who can invest in it, people who can drive it forward. We always talk to you about remittances. Every time we meet here, we tell you about remittances, and I can even tell you the statistics I have in the speech I was supposed to read, which I have refused to read. Sorry, my team. And now we spend a lot of time with this speech together. Between 2017 and 2019, diaspora remittances, just for Kenya alone, have grown from 1.9 billion US dollars to 2.8 billion US dollars. And amazingly, even the ravages of COVID-19 have not dampened those flows. And while revenues for tourism, revenues for agricultural produce, revenues for all our income drivers have dropped, the remittances have remained resilient, and I thank you as a diaspora. But when you go to the central bank statistics, you'll realize that a lot of this money is very informal. It's channeled through very informal networks. We are now challenging you as a diaspora. Let this money come. Okay, informal is important, of course. When I lived with John in DC, I always sent some dollars back to Bulalani, to my mother. I always shared a few dollars, so that is important. That informal. But we also want to see money coming into bonds. We want to see money coming into treasury bills. We want to see money coming into this big infrastructure dream that the Right Honorable Raila Odinga has shared with us as his vision as the AU High Representative for Infrastructure Development in Africa. Big dreams for Africa, opening up Africa. Let us see this money influencing these mega investments. And here in Kenya, we are particularly keen on this agenda of remittances because Kenya, or Nairobi, is also the headquarters of the African Institute for remittances. And as the center for this institute, we have a very keen eye on how these remittances are flowing into the continent, where exactly they are going, and the impact they are having. Bring that money, direct that money to where it really matters, local development. In Kenya, His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta is championing what we are calling the Big Four agenda, the development firm that has broken down some of the issues in the Vision 2030. When we talk about food security, let us invest in food production and processing. We talk about manufacturing. We're talking about affordable housing, talking about universal health care. The Big Four agenda. I invite the diaspora to be drivers of the Big Four agenda in this country. But I'm also inviting the diaspora as part of that investment to unleash the full complement of your formidable human resource. Because it's not just about money. It's also about skill. It's about experience. You know, Shane here is a formidable resource that President Kagame cannot resist. Now the government of President Salva Kiir in Juba cannot resist. This is what I'm talking about. Unleashing that formidable human capital and bringing it to the service of the continent. Madame Pia here, listening to her, I can see what she can do in terms of unleashing the energy potential of the continent and helping this continent to harness waste for development, because the waste can be harnessed for development. I've been to Singapore and I've seen what Singaporeans build their waste and how they use waste for development is just amazing. We can do it here on this continent, using the human capital that is replete amongst our diaspora. And so, I conclude by assuring you that as a ministry responsible for Kenyans living beyond our borders, we are available. Shane, we know that we have in place the diaspora policy at the ministry. It is a policy we are very keen to have fully implemented. We have a full-fledged directorate on diaspora and consular affairs, and we take a lot of pride in remaining in touch with our diaspora, working with you. Please pass the message to the whole diaspora network that is important for you to take advantage of our foreign missions across the world. Please make sure we have a system as a ministry for registering these networks, the alliances, the networks. Make sure that you are registered with a mission that is near you, whether you are in Kuala Lumpur or you are in Brussels. Be known by these missions. That is your link back home. We have brilliant ambassadors. I just graduated 25 new ones yesterday who will be taking up their positions in various parts of the globe and are available for you. One of the primary responsibilities of these ambassadors and high commissioners is you, Kenyan African living out there. When you want to know who you are, where you are, under my office we have started a skills bank, a database to document where our diaspora are, what are their skills, what are they doing, and what can they bring back home. We want you to help us populate that data bank so that we can unleash it for development. So that when we get challenges like the challenges we had when COVID hit, you know, when COVID hit, it was pandemonium across the globe. From Wuhan, we received a call from a Kenyan at 3 in the morning, and he's telling you, I'm in Guadalupe, or I'm in Santa Fe, crazy places on the globe, and they want to come back home, and they just want to come back home by any means. Are you in touch with the nearest mission to you? No, they are not. Are you in contact with any Kenyan within 100 miles of where you are. No, they are not. And so we had a huge challenge doing those airlifts, and we did airlifts to bring people home, and I think this happened across the whole continent, bringing our people back home. It will be much easier if the diaspora is wired to the foreign missions and you are part of some data system. It makes it very easy for you to be reached and for you to be supported. Pongezi Shem, pongezi the organizers of this. Asante sana Daktari Ezekiel Mutua for facilitating this. Thank you very much to the Directorate of Youth Affairs in the Office of the President, led by my brother, Mr. President, my very good friend Walter. Thank you very much for making this happen. And remind us, of course, also Kenyatta is a youth champion, youth champion, and in that context, he is very keen to drive this agenda of youth. And I hear you, Walter, that if you are not speaking to the youth, if you are not speaking to the agenda of the youth, then we are really not cutting it. We must speak to the agenda of youth, and we must draw them into this mission we are on. And as we do that, the moral compass must remain our guiding light. It is not easy what I have just shared, but Nelson Mandela would famously say, it always seems impossible until it's done. Let's do it. Thank you very much. Thank you, Waziri. At this point, it's not in my place to invite our Cabinet Secretary. I would humbly request Honorable Bob Namamba to come back so that he can do the protocols. Thank you, Waziri. Thank you. Okay, it is my honor, my pleasure really, to now invite our chief guest for this opening ceremony, a man that I have worked with for many years since my days as a student at the University of Nairobi, and a man who has definitely left an indelible mark already on the agenda we are discussing here today, or the progress of this nation. And I have no doubt that when he makes himself available to the agenda of diaspora, it is genuine and it resonates with the work he does for this country. The Cabinet Secretary for Devolution is Honorable Eugene Medovich Wamanga. Karibu sana my brother.
Thank you very much, my brother Ababu. And may I say I'm very, very pleased to be back here for the 7th annual Kenya Diaspora Homecoming Convention and the first Africa Diaspora Symposium. I'm very, very happy to be here. Last year, we were here together. And we came to say Karibu Nyumbani. And we are welcoming you home for Christmas, welcoming you home from different parts of the world. And it was a real wonderful Christmas season. We are meeting here again. And I can see some things that are quite similar to last year. A few things haven't changed. My brother Shem Ochoda hasn't changed much. Good to see you, Shem. My brother Kent, I can see you haven't changed much. You look okay, you look well. Our brother from Konza, we were here with you also last year. You look well, you haven't changed much. And of course, Ezekiel Mutua, my good friend, you look well, just the way you looked last year. And of course, Nyambane himself. But a few things have changed since last year. And as my very able brother, CAS Sababu Namwamba has said, from the last time we were here, our country has gone through a lot. We had drought in this country. We had floods in this country. We had locust invasion in this country. And as we were recovering from that, then COVID happened. So from the last time we were here to this day, our country has been through a lot. We thank God that we have a resilient country. And indeed, for our friends, Dr. Malcolm and all those who have come, I can tell you Kenya is a resilient country. But never in the history of our nation has our resilience been tested to the extent it has been tested in the last 1 year. And that is why we're very happy to be back here to see our friends from the diaspora and to say that if Kenya is a resilient nation, then the diaspora community is the most resilient member of our family as a nation. Because as the Honorable Ababu has said here, I was just looking at the figures. When we met here, I think we were talking about 303 billion shillings remitted. And it is very surprising that in spite of COVID, instead of that dropping, it has gone up to about 333 billion. It shows that we have a resilient diaspora community, and this country is terribly proud of you. That during its darkest year, its darkest hour, you still remembered home. You still sacrificed to bring back home more than you did last year. May I say we're very proud, and to say that it has not been easy, because from the time COVID started in Wuhan, China, all the way to the US, to Europe, a lot has happened. And all the continents have been affected, including the African continent. But looking at the remittances again, talking over $80 billion coming to Africa, we are very proud as a continent that is the youngest continent in the world to have such a resilient diaspora, the African diaspora that has invested here. And we are happy to come here to engage with you. But even as we engage, we are looking at a post-COVID-19 period. We are looking at recovery strategies. And just last week, on Friday, we were meeting all the counties. And His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta unveiled the county post-COVID recovery strategy and plan. And we're talking over almost 132 billion that our counties are coming together to see how we can mobilize resources and over the next 3 years have a clear plan of recovery in all our 47 counties. Nationally also, the National Treasury has developed a recovery strategy. So we are looking at how we can integrate these strategies post-COVID, both nationally and in all our counties. And what goes to the counties, you'll be surprised. Last year from the equitable share of revenue was just about 316 billion. That is less than what the diaspora has brought home, 333 billion. So meaning you are bigger than the counties. So even as we are looking at the counties working on a recovery strategy, I'm very happy to be here with my brother Ababu, because through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we want to see how, after developing a national post-COVID recovery strategy, a county post-COVID recovery strategy, we can also have in place a diaspora post-COVID recovery strategy. If we can get that out of this symposium, we'll be very happy as national government to partner with you, to partner with the counties, and to see how we can integrate these strategies and work together to see how Kenya can build back better and stronger out of this crisis. So you come home at the right time when we need you the most. And through the deliberations we'll be having here, we want to engage and look at areas of partnership with you. And I can tell you, we cannot as a country realize our Vision 2030 without you. We only have 10 years to go. 2020 to 2030 has been called the decade of action by the UN. As we look at the UN Agenda 2030 realization of our SDGs, we must look at how we can play our part together through these partnerships to realize our Vision 2030, to get the SDGs in place, to look at how the Africa Agenda 2060 can be realized. All this cannot be realized without you, the diaspora. So I'm happy that we are here looking at how we can partner. Last year, when we met, we engaged on the issue of the Big Four agenda. And I did submit to you then that there are huge investment opportunities when you look at the Big Four agenda, particularly the pillar on health, the issue of telemedicine, the issue of seeing how we can bring the latest technologies across the world back home and partner with you. We have, as a government, worked with our counties to ensure that each county, as we speak, has at least 2 or so level 4 hospitals. There are a few level 5 hospitals. So there are huge investment opportunities in the health sector. So when we are looking at the Big Four agenda, we want to see how we can partner with you. And even out of this crisis, they say in every crisis there's an opportunity. I was just telling the governor the other day that of all the devolved functions, perhaps the biggest responsibility we gave our counties was the issue of health services. And throughout this crisis, we have partnered with them, and their capacities have been tested and stretched. We are not out of the woods yet. The first wave, we were able to contain it. In fact, at some point, we were able to flatten the curve through a very strong partnership. But the second wave has come. We're looking at what's happening in the US, in Europe. The second wave, I think, has hit even harder. The unprecedented figures, we're just looking at the figures in the US, over 200,000 daily infections, looking at the mortality rates, and looking at the prominent figures who have been hit by COVID-19. Even the White House has not been spared, starting with Donald Trump, the president himself. And I heard even his friend Rudy Giuliani has been hit. And his son-in-law, the British Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, was also hit. And even Buckingham Palace, Prince Charles was not spared. So we are looking at a situation is serious. And back home, our counties will need your support. There are good opportunities also that have seen young Kenyans come up and push innovation beyond the borders we knew. We are very proud. We would like to see these also from the diaspora. We know that you must be doing wonderful things out there, but we want to see how we can invest in innovation. We have had young students here at KU inventing things that we were struggling as government to import. But we were able to get local Kenyan kids coming up with ventilators, local ventilators. I'm sure with your support and investment in our young people, we can do a lot. There's a young guy called Alila, Roy Alila. He invented a glove that is a magic glove to help those that are visually impaired. to be able to, read and communicate. And it's an invention that actually has been celebrated across Europe and across the world. So we want to see how we can invest more in this. And there was a young girl called Nambuye who invented, actually she came up with some very nice sports shoes that will be rivaling Nike very, very soon, but locally made here in Kenya. And we are just looking at huge opportunities for investment for the diaspora. And mine is to assure you that we would like to also create platforms for you to engage with our governors. We have been discouraging this issue of benchmarking, very expensive trips being made by our counties to Europe, to America, benchmarking. But instead of them coming over there, we want to see how we can facilitate for the diaspora to come to the counties and to partner with them. I think this is one area that I would like to assure you that we'll be looking at how we can engage. And apart from health, of course, the other areas, manufacturing, the other pillars, food security, there are huge opportunities that we want to see how we can invest back home. So let me thank you very much, and in a very special way, thank my good friend Mutua for being a true friend, being with this team and supporting them. I remember last year when Nyambane spoke and Walter was talking about something that was famous then, Twa Twa. I warned him that the moral police was in town. But Walter, today, instead of you talking of Twa Twa, I heard Wa from the man himself. So I said, if Mutua is talking about Wa, and then I said, wow, then who's going to guard the moral police? But so we are happy to be here, and anytime you want to call upon us, Shem, you can count on our support. And beyond today, we work very closely with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. As Ababu has said already, the diaspora policy is in place. And when we came to Dallas 5 years ago with the president, you remember he promised then, when Amina was the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and he said he'll ensure we have a diaspora policy in place. Ababu has just confirmed, and we want to see how we can work more closely, engage you more, and going into the future, strengthen this partnership with the diaspora. So welcome home. Let us, we might not enjoy Christmas as much as we did last year. In fact, we were trying to discourage people from traveling much, and especially in Western Kenya and Nyanza. All the buses that are going to be full in the next few days will be headed to Nyanza, and my good brother knows, especially his area of Kisumu County. We always believe in going home for Christmas, but we are trying to discourage this. In fact, our governors in Western and Nyanza had asked the president to enhance controls, to restrict movement, because Nairobi has the highest rates, as we speak, infections, followed by Mombasa. Then we have Nakuru. So if we have all these people traveling home, instead of taking Christmas gifts to their parents, they might be exposing their parents. So we want to use technology to enjoy this Christmas. And you know, M-Pesa is a much celebrated Kenyan invention. And we want to see how we can use that to enjoy Christmas this time. So I would want to say that if you're in Nairobi, you are discouraged to head Western or Nyanza. Let's enjoy Christmas here together. So let me say thank you very much, and we are happy to have you home, and we look forward to working together. And whenever you invite me, you can count on me that I will be here to be with you. Asanteni, Mungu awabariki. And now, may I say it's my great pleasure to declare the 7th Annual Kenya Diaspora Homecoming Convention and the first Africa Diaspora Symposium officially open. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, we can do better than that as we applaud our chief guest in a better way. Honorable Eugene and Honorable Abab Namwamba, and our chief title guest sponsor, Dr. Ezekiel Mutua, and of course, Mheshimiwa, who's a representative of Baba, Raila Amolo Odinga. If there's anything I've picked, and as we go into the conversation, it's we have brilliant ideas, and we are talking about we can do this, we can do that. The question is, when are we going to do? And what is the how? And how soon can it be done? And to start us off, before we break for lunch, and before we, get this conversation starting, our chief guest, if there's anything that I also remember, that our forefathers, when they started that thing they call, that flight thing that used to go to America, taking our young people airlift. Maybe it's time we started airlifting our people back home for one reason. I think when you try to change somebody at Kibra, and he has grown up in Kibra, he has married a neighbor from Kibra, and they have children who are going to school in Kibra, yes, they are willing to change, but they can't visualize that change. How about we made use of our diaspora brothers and sisters who have got an exposure that is different from what we've seen, who have seen systems that work, then they can be able to be integrated into the system where they can show us how it works. If we can only begin to give them positions of responsibility and value, not just their money. If we can start the airlifting back home, maybe that's idea sana, particularly sisi wa Kisii, who are in Minnesota, New Jersey, Delaware, where else are we in Kisii, Iguagua, where else in Texas, Arlington, you know what I'm saying? You feel me? Anyway, that's how we sound. Our chief guest, allow me at this point to start this conversation. He's a gentleman and a respected elder and an authority in the business community. From 1929, when he was born, this young man has been in business, and his enterprise is in the spaces of $1 billion enterprise. And that is what we keep talking about. If you go to Kenyatta University, there's a Manu Chandaria Innovation Center. We're talking about a man who's dedicated his time in giving young people an opportunity to rediscover and reinvent how trade is done. With your permission, sirs, if I can allow us to give him a few minutes just to speak to us as we start this symposium and this convention. With your permission, sir, you can give him a few minutes. We listen to him before we can break for lunch, and then we can give you the rest of the program in terms of the breakaway sessions. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together as we listen to Manu Chandaria. I'm reminded that in such a way that we have to do it like broadcasts. So I will assume I'm at the CNN Center, and majority of us diasporas voted for Biden, so we are happy. Biden people. Hawa ni wa Raila pole. So hawa ni wa BBI. So ladies and gentlemen, I don't know whether technical team, are we live with him, or technology has failed us? It is not live. Let me speak to him. He's on phone. Daktari, can you hear me? He's live. Okay.
You can hear you.
You can hear me? Yes. Can we hear him?
He's waving.
Yeah. Can we see him?
remove me from the screen, I can see myself. Yeah, this is technology. As he does that, a little commercial break, I'm sure. Honorable Chief Guest.
Yeah, I can hear you and I can see you.
Thank you.
Yes, I can see you.
Okay. Chief Dr. Chandaria has been the other. Commercial break, I'm sure. So, over to you. Want to introduce him? Please.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you. Okay, can start?
So you catch up.
Dr. Kataria has been the other. So, over to you. Want to introduce him? Please.
Can I start? I'm ready, but can I start? Tell me when I start speaking.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Honorable Ramallah, Honorable Babu Nandada, and I think the representative of Baba Waila. I can't call him Baba Waila, I used to call his father Baba. I think that this is the first symposium, and while the government, hello? Yeah. While the ministers CICs and CAS is there, let me tell you a couple of things. You know, the diaspora investments in diaspora cannot only be run by diasporians. There has to be strong government willingness. I remember a few years back, there was a special meeting called by the PS of the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and they started taking interest in finding out what diaspora can do. The amount of money that we receive and the possibility that we can do is enormous. But unless and until the government opens up the window, not that when we call them, they are the real runners of attracting diaspora for the development of our country. So this is most important part. While they are there, to let them listen to. I think that this is a showcase that the first time we are having a value and contribution of the diaspora, and it can bring to to the African continent. It's not only for Kenya, but for the whole continent. Clear examples of these are Chinese, and huge data by Chinese diaspora, and then India. These two cases are very, very clear. And presently, the India provides a classical case, how they can use the Indian diaspora, which amounts to about 18 million people worldwide, how they can attract them, and how can they bring them and to understand. And the classical case is, in 2003, the government of India decided that they want to find out who is who in the diaspora area. And they invited the first 11 people in a meeting of 5,000 people with the Prime Minister of India, the garlanded, and I was one of them, the garlanded with a ribbon and a gold big emblem. And making us to understand that we are part and parcel of the growth of India. Now, the question is that at that level, from 2003, every year, they select between 10 to 15 diasporians who are prominent in the world. Whatever they are doing,
and attract them back into the country and say, hey, come on, we would like your help. Now this is a classical example that we can always quote. So I would suggest that, as I said, that it's not only one way, it has to be two ways. And not only two ways, only diaspora, but the government must be very much involved in it. Both Kenyan and Indian diaspora have reached the highest level in the US and UK. Let's talk about President Obama, about a Kenyan diaspora. Let's talk about let's talk about the new Vice President. Again, India and Jamaica. Let's talk about in UK itself, the exchequer, or the British exchequer is Mrs. Rishi Sunak, with a Kenyan diaspora. The point is that we have the talents, we have the quality, we have the capacity. All we require is, and then there are many. You look at today, the Musk, the founder of Tesla and SpaceX, the second richest man in the world, is again a South African diaspora. So I think that there is a lot of things that we've got to understand, but by just taking that one step, it looks like, shame. I must salute Shane and his committee, that to take the continuous interest, but what we really require is support all the way through. Now, African diaspora throughout the world, to build a sound bridge that bridges trade, investment, jobs, and wealth creation on the continent. And until now, we do get the money. Like China gets huge amount of money. Number two is again, India gets a huge amount of money. Philippines get a huge amount of money. Various countries which are providing people from outside are getting money. But use of that money in a proper way so that it can multiply, not just keeping and earning 6% or 8%. That can be, that they can make an impression. The question is that how can we work together, with the African governments, Pan-African institutions, such as African Union, and study the success story.
Maybe we can, with permission of Honorable Chief Guest, we make an executive decision at this point to bring it to an end. I think we have gotten the gist of what our very dear, we were to declare
him as diaspora, our first diaspora ambassador. Give Dr. Manu Chandari a round of applause. And indeed, he's been a true inspiration representing the private sector. I think without much ado, allow me just to say a vote of thanks. We are going to break shortly. Mr. President, in quote, I'm being careful, is organizing. We'll have a little photo session. As we do that, people will step apart, so we keep the social distancing for memory purposes. So Mr. Nyambane is arranging that. But allow me just to acknowledge our partners
who have supported us. I'll just mention the names of a few.
I do know times are extremely difficult for them. Books for Africa, chief guest, all the way from Minneapolis, is one of our supporters. They are celebrating their 50th millionth. That is 50 million books that they have brought to Africa, and we don't take them. Give them a round of applause. GeoNet Communications has got cutting-edge technology. We call it Super WhatsApp. Give them another round of applause. Thank you. And of course, several others. I may not read them all. Please, you have them on the 24th page of this booklet. For those who got the program, I believe we all did. Give them all collectively, of course. Give them the collective round of applause for all of them, please. And above all else, the two that we have the CEOs here, beginning with Konza City. A round of applause for him. Tatu City and Unity Homes. A round of applause for them, please. And of course, for those of us, as we will be breaking, on the side, a few of these companies are there. Please visit them. Of course, the mother of them all, you save the best for the last. Kenya Film Classification Board. A round of applause for you, sir. Without much ado, I hand over. He will guide us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let us appreciate Daktari Ochodo. Our chief guest. I'm an African, and we take blessings seriously. When you continue making reference to me as Mr. President, it's okay. There is 2022 coming, there is 2027, so continue to bless me. I'll see you. As you said, I'm the only one who acted as president. There's a time in this country we were 3 presidents. It was President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, myself, and the president of Somali in Sereni. So we thank you. May I at this point request our chief guest, and of course Eugene Wamalwa, CS Honorable Eugene Wamalwa, to lead us. There's a place we have set outside here, because if it wasn't captured on tape, then it never happened. So it will just be nice for us for you to bless us with a picture. Then for the rest of us, once we are done with the photo opportunity, we will go for the high teas. That is what they call it. It's not lunch, COVID restrictions. Tungewapatia lunch, by the way. It's COVID, blame it on COVID. But we were prepared to give you full lunch, but high teas. But for now, allow me at this point, Honorable, thank you very much for blessing us. Mr. Jared, asante sana, salimia baba utukienda. Our chief guest, please, our chief title sponsor, you can lead us to where we're going to take the photo. All of us, we will take the photo outside. We have arranged properly, and we will be back for the virtual sessions. Thank you, and God bless you.